So again, this subject is very close to my heart, and it's every time we rely on something like this type of thinking, let's say nuclear technology, um, it has an inherent risk to it. And uh, for me, I love to eliminate risk. I love to find the problems before they even arise or occur. Um, because it protects so many people. So, Czech Republic. So, I know someone from the Czech Republic. If you know me, you'll know that. And she's told me a lot of stories about certain things. And really strangely enough, it's appeared on the news in recent days. So, she was only talking about that with me, I don't know, a little while back. So, it wasn't that long ago that she was actually talking about this. Uh, the weapons that they had, ammunition that was stored somewhere, it was then triggered to go off, and it went off quite spectacularly. Now, I'm not going to mention the country that did it. Google it, you'll find it. Anyway, so moving on from that, uh, there was also Chernobyl, I believe. Chernobyl, yes, if I'm saying that correctly. Again, another disaster that really the world could do without any more happening. And the more we go green, the more we might need to rely on this technology. And I'm not saying that every single event is going to appear all doom and gloom, but it's the what if terrorist attacks, let's say, different things, and if they start to target certain things, and if we have the same event like the Czech Republic had, but with our nuclear technology, I think it just has such a massive risk and complications for life, not just on the UK, in the UK, it has it for the rest of the world all over. And if you're America as well and you're thinking of these technologies, again, it poses risk for a lot of people. So with my level of thinking with that, so to start with, you're like talking about, oh, we're going to build it right next to the sea and we're going to do this. For me personally, I would say no way. Sod that and forget that for a game of soldiers. Completely forget it. I would not stand for that. It's probably not my decision to, it's collectively everybody's, but we need electric. Do we need it? Yeah, I think we do. I think humanity has grown quite reliant on it, and I love technology, so it's kind of a two-faced situation to be in. Why would you say no? You don't like pollution, but you don't like this, you don't like that. You love technology, but you won't accept nuclear. It's not that I won't accept it. It's just that I don't know. I've just been trying to rack my brains to have it dotted around the UK, and could those be used against us? So again, there was a I forget what it was called now. The place where they kept all of that douche. It exploded recently. I can't remember what it was called now. I forget it. Big boom, and it devastated quite a lot of a particular country. I can't remember what it's called now, but anyway, it will come to me. It always does. So, weed killer? No, I don't know if it was that. And it all exploded again, ignited. They were warned that it was looking dangerous. Now, there are two ways to look at that: accidental or deliberately done. So, if it was deliberately done, I don't know. Again, it reminds me of certain aspects. History kind of has a canny knack to repeat itself. Chernobyl is another one. Again, I don't know if it was deliberate, but again, something happened that caused a catastrophe. There's just a lot going on with this nuclear technology that it's great. Absolutely brilliant. Love the stuff. Love what it can do. But at the end of the day, it inherits that risk. And it's if we can eliminate that risk, you can't eliminate it. I believe you can, actually. So we just got to sit down and think about it, and just really, really, really think about it. So it led me to come up with this idea. I mean, again, we'll flip the camera around and we'll go through this in a bit more detail. But this way might actually help sway the answer to yes, definitely. For me, it would be a big yes, because it's a lot protected. It's out the way. It's not going to impact humanity terribly much. I just believe it can eliminate a lot of the problems that we're faced. So, my idea or understanding of this situation is that if they're right next to the ocean and the coastlines and that, brilliant. But if they ever got used against us in a, I don't know, the world seems to get agitated at times, and the talk of war comes about, and man, wouldn't it be great if you had these lovely little things that were laying around? That you could then go and accidentally, wink wink, nudge nudge, never actually detonate your own nuclear bombs, but go and detonate one of these. And if you were to do that, what would be the consequences for the country that had this nuclear power station detonated on their shorelines? If it got into the water, the foods, animals, humans, also around the world, it has complications for people, not just here. If it were to go off, it'd have complications for a lot of people. Now, I know there are dirty tactics going off around the world, so when they keep certain things somewhere and they have a stockpile of ammunition, and someone might go and set that off, or I don't know, farmers stack hay bales up on a field and somebody might go and set those on fire. Again, absolutely horrible, but people do it. Never mind whether that's going to support you or anybody else or an animal. It's different with the setting the bales on fire, at least, but at the end of the day, is it? It causes so much pollution. People are out of pocket, and at the end of the day, it's just kind of the world we live in, isn't it? People, not just overseas, but in our own country as well, just seem to have this canny knack of destroying things. So, we must do more to eliminate these problems, and I think I might have come up with a solution. Again, I don't know whether this would actually eliminate all of the problems, but I think it would damp out a large majority if anything went mess up, let's say. Let's keep that clean. So, I don't know if I'm going to get in any trouble for making this type of YouTube video, but I'm trying to talk about this in a way that helps us understand that nuclear technology can be safe if we do it right, and we look at all of the risk factors and eliminate them before they even had a chance to become a problem in the here and now. So if we were to look at that before we started building them, I think this would be a little bit more safer for everybody involved. Wildlife, you know, we've got a horrible thing right now with carbon and pollution and global warming, and I know it is horrible, but I think if anything went wrong and we had a meltdown like Chernobyl, I think we'd have an even bigger problem on our hands, and that is something that I don't think that we want, not in our lifetime. So let's try not to jump out of the frying pan and into the fire. Let's try and jump out of the frying pan and make it into a nice cold bowl of water, so that we're okay. We can swim to the surface and then get ourselves out of any situation that may arise. So, not saying that it will, don't want to scare anyone, don't want to alarm anyone, but I don't know, it just seems, I don't know, who cares what I think, but so how do we get past this then? Well, there are two things that we can do. But one of them really stands out to me the most that could be a great success, as long as it's got no underground rivers, which piling rigs read this as they drill down anyway. Number two is a little bit expensive, but nothing unheard of that we haven't already done. If you take underground trains, for example. So if Britain are thinking about building an underground tunnel system, this should be a walk in the park for anybody that is in the industry of piling and tunneling. Let's say this should be very easy to construct, and with this ease, it's a little complicated, but I think because they've been doing it for so long that they have gained this insight, understanding and knowledge, and they're very professional at what they do, tunneling. So if we were to take this into consideration, that if we were to build nuclear power stations, but we keep them underground, we keep them out of sight, and if there was any threat of war or anybody were to come and try and blow these up, let's say, you're going to have to get through a ton of security measures in order to even get near it. And secondly is yeah, good luck, because it's going to be off limits to a lot of people, and only people that work within the facility would be able to do it. And number two, and even if you did manage to get through all of these defenses, which I doubt, um, yeah, you're only going to cause an explosion that happens underground. Hmm? Some of the nuclear fallout might come to the surface, perhaps, and we'll deal with that when it comes. But a lot of it will be contained. We ain't got to go and deal with an elephant foot or anything else, and we can just cover over it and move on. So let's just say that did happen. It's very, 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 very complicated for anybody to even attempt this. So again, a great thing I like to think is nothing is truly safe, but it depends how much aggro you put in the way of something before someone gives up, because most people don't like hard work. So banks, for example, they're complicated to even try and get the money. Maybe it is possible, I don't know, but it's complicated. And it's this complication that probably makes a lot of people go, yeah, I ain't bothering, I'm just gonna go get a job, it's easier. So I don't agree with stealing or anything like that, so meh. It's just an example that it is layers of consequences and complications that equal deterrent, and it gives you an added layer of safety, let's say. So it adds the onion layer. The more layers you have, the more safer you are, let's say. So that's what this idea is about. It's about making it as complicated as possible for anyone that wanted to try and get at it, to do bad with our technologies for good. And it just makes it incredibly complicated. They would be rumbled before they even got there. So it adds that layer of deterrent. They're not even going to bother trying, which is great. So good for you. So yeah, having it underground, we got to take care of a few things such as water. Water could possibly flow down. Yep, I believe that could be covered off of the list. It would be then getting the power to the surface. Again, easy. If we were using a type of rail track design. So to get the materials down there, we're going to need a level of railways, underground perhaps, and on the same tracks could export the power up. You're going to need backup power for these, again, is already sorted, and extra backup power, and it's going to need to be made, because it's underground, it's going to need a level of waterproofing. So if we ever did get flooded, I think this thing would be quite safe. So because you've already taken care that the UK is flooding now and again in certain places, and we can't predict exactly where it's going to flood, so go with the flow, as they say. We have to make these so that they can withstand that. So if it's going to be underground anyway, make it so that it can withstand that. So flooding is not going to be a problem, and it would be easy to flush these tubes or chambers out at the end of it. Dealing with nuclear waste again is something else, so it has to be kind of easy enough to access. And if you'd already built a waste chamber down there, pretty good, just in case it went critical. It's already inside the waste chamber, so we just need to seal it off and deal with anything that may or may not come out. So that's it, and that's the crux of this. That if it ever did go a bit fuck up, well, we just bury it. We just cover that over, and we would then be relatively safe on the surface. Everyone would be safe, everyone would be secure, our lands would be safe, our water is not going to get poisoned, and we are going to be hunky-dory, learn from the mistakes, move on, build a better one, and off you go. So yeah, definitely so many layers of protection are already on this one. So we could get down there and we could discover that it makes such a draft through the tunnel system that we're able to turn turbines on it anyway, and we might not need the nuclear power. We might not need it. Who knows? There are lots of things. We discover things accidentally all the time by trying to build one thing, and then we figure out something else, and then I'm like, maybe we could use that instead of this, or we could do this instead of that. So who knows? I'm not saying it is, and I'm not saying it isn't, but while you're there, you might be able to achieve this. If you can't, keep going with the original goal of building a nuclear power facility underground. What else does it do in layers of safety? So if we went to war, the first thing they're going to come for, if we ever went into that position, not saying that we will, but who knows, I can't predict the future. I would love to have a crystal ball, never get out of bed. Anyway, so you would basically, if we ever went to war, these targets would be very difficult to get. so they couldn't use your own equipment against you. So that is something that is pretty impressive. Number two, they're safe from terrorism. So any terrorist attacks, well, these are out of the question. Good luck entering these. So again, if you had these in areas where there were military security guards around the area, the facility, it's very unlikely that anyone's going to get very close to it. It's most protected inside a type of area where there are military around. Very protected. So you'd have to get through all of those before you even got through these. So it's unlikely. So very safe. Again, can't be tampered with. So again, I love that. The level of safety is just great. It's not going to pollute the waters, so that's good. Covered that one, I think. Land, it's not going to contaminate the land, so any crops we grow away from the area are not going to get, we're not going to get poison ourselves that way. So yeah, all round, it just seems to be pretty good. Flooding, it's pretty safe from that. It's safe from the elements of the environment, so we've got no degrading going on around the building or the area itself. It's very protected. So yeah, I can't think of anything else that I may have overlooked. If you have any that you think I may have overlooked, jot them down in the comments and I will be sure to work those into this process anyway. So getting the power out is easy. Water pumps for keeping the water out if it rains and some gets in. Who knows, it might filter through, but I doubt it. You're able to build these tunnels underneath the sea anyway, and underneath waterways, so I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to build these underground, keep the water out anyway, so I'm very confident that you have the capabilities to do that, and the tech know-how, let's say. So yeah, so tons of experiments can be done from this, that we might be able to find something completely unique that we've never understood before in the process. So yes, that's a good possibility like that. The levels of heat at the different layers in the rock would also be good. Good for science, good for geography. So yes, brilliant. Yeah, and also it just adds this remarkably incredible layer of safety. So yeah, I think I've covered most of that. So anyway, I'm going to pause it here because that's what we're talking about on this one, is nuclear power stations and perhaps building them underground where they were basically free from all elements, whether that's a war element, whether that's a flooding element, whether that's a catastrophe meltdown. We've got this covered, literally, and it's quite deep down so that it's not going to impact us. So it's okay. Oh, you want to melt your way into the core? Feel free. So I mean, it's not going to make a much difference. I'm pretty sure that stuff down there is. So yeah, it's so far out of the way that it's not going to cause a problem and pose a risk to humanity and everybody living on this island. So, and whether you're in America, whether you're in the EU nations, whether you are Australia, wherever you are on the planet, earthquakes, yeah, maybe we could make them earthquake proof, secure enough, maybe. If they ever got damaged, just think of how safe your countries would be, and any threat of war, you would be extremely safe. So yeah, I just think it's one to look out and just look at the possibility and the potential from doing it this way as opposed to having them above ground. So just maybe one for the thought process and your engineers just to have a look, and if they could. And again, it employs so many people. Yes, okay, there's lots of jobs gone in, and it's unfortunate, and I'm really sorry for people that have lost any business or anything else like that, but this is an opportunity to give a lot of work to people, a lot of good paid jobs that they helped secure their country and they helped build their country up for the better. I mean, that is magic. That is what pulling together in really, really rubbish times are about. And not finding a positive, I don't like to use that word very much. I do like the word positive, but not in this scenario. So it's another way of finding the light within the situation. Within the darkness, there is light. We've just got to look for it and maneuver towards it, and like a moth, I suppose, look for the light. I think these are little opportunities that come about. They're not going to give people jobs forever, but when they're saving in the meantime, they might be able to rebuild it and create a business and learn a few tricks of the trade that go on to benefit a lot of other people. So, again, I find this fascinating subject, people helping people in a roundabout sort of way, and this one helps a lot of people. Electricity, it keeps technology going, and it's safety. That's got to be number one, safe. So yeah, I'm gonna flip the camera, and then you can see the drawing that I've just, I don't know, it's just an idea. Go away if you need to and redraw this, better the system, add in what I missed out if you must. Free for anyone to use. Take, draw, print, do what you want. This one I will leave it on my website for you to use it as a baseline, up to you. So yeah, likewise, take it, do what you need to. Better the system, improve it, tweak it, whatever you need. So, or drop me a comment of anything I've missed or overlooked or missed out. And yeah, I will even draw this myself and redo it with any suggestions or comments that you have made. So yeah, I'll flip around, enough waffling. So there we are. I'll try and help you understand it if you don't pick it up already. So here we have the ground layer, runs across here. This is a piling shaft basically, and this has a dome over it which protects it from any elements falling through, and this is just for ventilation. And we have another dome here which is the entrance dome, again protects it from any water debris, anything from the sky falling in. So yes, in here is the tunneling system, if you like, different temperatures in different aspects. So I've done these 3 miles long. They don't actually have to be, that's up to you to get the calculations. It was just for depth. It's quite a big tunnel actually, so doesn't have to be this deep, can be quite shallow and go steeper, it's up to you. So yeah, then just under here where we've got this blue line and these black dots in between here, and here, these are chambers which can collect water, any water that might fall down anywhere, I don't know where, but possibly if any does get in, it will sit in these chambers, and these chambers will then be pumped the water out, or in case you need it for your facility. And here we have the end sort of tomb, if you like, where you would keep your radioactive power station. If you need it there, it can go there. Then it was getting power back up. If you can see this slightly bluer line above the dark blue line, that is a railway track. And if you've seen my video about the railway track on the moon, you'll know that I currently am obsessed with trains that can run on these tracks, but also using the tracks as another way of running high amounts of electricity from here all the way up to here, and then distributing it evenly using basically your pylons, your standard pylons or your power cables, this way. So yeah, it runs into the track, so one blue is minus and then the red is the plus. So get the power from here to here is easily done on a railway track that we would already use anyway to get up and down. Maybe that would be powered by a different process because there might be too much power on here. Either, up to you. So yes, I believe vehicles would drive down here as well. It'd be big enough to do it, and they probably would come back up as well in stages. So however you want to do it. So that's up to you. So yes, so it quite clearly got the moon on this one, and there's a reason for it. So anything we can collect can be worked down on the ground. These power stations are very good at generating a lot of electricity for I'm not sure whether they would actually melt metals at all that were mined from here, or melt metals in any other aspect. I'm not sure how that all works, so you know, I've got another one for that. That's a different video for another day, probably next Friday, we'll see. But yes, so we got the pump in, pump out, water pumps, drainage, railway line. The northern line length is up to here. So if you need that into comparison, which is the railway track that's underground, I believe. Don't remember, but if you Google Northern Line, it would show you how long that is. So, and that's currently comes up to here in length. So if we were to straighten this out, that's your length equivalent of the Northern Line. So yeah, as I was saying, it was protected. So if anything was to drop down here, a weapon or anything else like that, anything, it would hit on the ground above. It would be a very impressive weapon to even try and I don't know, disrupt anything in here or destroy it. It would just be practically impossible. So again, a piling shaft, it's just ventilation. It just gives airflow through. As I was saying, it might create such a draft through one to the other. Who knows which way round it would go, that you might be able to install turbines in here with fan blades, and they power giant motors just on I don't know, a draft process. Who knows? Again, out the box thinking. So there were 3 ways to get this. Again, temperature sensors up here, so you could measure how hot or cold the ground was as you descended, so you could find out what the temperature differences were at different levels. So yeah, backup generator would be stored in here as well, and because it is this way around, so if you imagine there's no gap above here, nothing goes up. So if this was to flood out, the flood water wouldn't enter into this bit here. Just like if you were to take a cup and turn it upside down and drop it into your bath or your sink of water, the water won't go inside the cup. It's not until you tip the cup that then the water enters in, and then a gulp of air bubbles out. So this is the same principle. So if it was inside here and you had your generator inside here, yes, your fumes would bubble out because that's just what happens. But whether it would actually, then air supply would be a factor, or we would find another way of running the power cables, another way that were waterproof and no water could fall down on there to keep everything circulating, the pump inside there. So I do believe one of the meltdowns caused the reactor to go critical because it overheated because the pump cut out, because the generators, when there was a flood, basically got flooded with water and they cut out and stopped working. But if we had a different way of doing this, where the power could come from a different source that needed to go in there, or there was enough power being generated from this to generate its own water pump from the power of the nuclear station so that it could run in a cycle, perhaps not, or another one that would enter in here, but it would be completely sealed, it would be airtight. This whole dome area or rectangular box here would be completely airtight, so that if the worst ever did happen and this was to fill with water in here because it flooded up here, I don't know, let's say, and the water came into this shaft and filled here and then started backlogging, this is going to stay safe. The water isn't going to enter into here because it's completely waterproof and it's shut off. And these cables again would be waterproof, and perhaps we would have a generator up here somewhere that had its own fuel supply over here, and then this could sit above any predicted level of water. So if the maximum level of water would probably rise to here, let's stick it up here out the way to run its power into here to keep the pump nicely circulating. And if the worst ever did happen, we'd have another outlet power cable that also is waterproof and it doesn't earth. So again, I will do that on another video of how to allow cables to go up without ever needing I think a lot of your energy can be lost if the power cables touch the ground because it earths, but I've been playing with another idea that could possibly or potentially let you run power cables on the ground and you could touch them and the ground and you wouldn't be electrocuted from it. So again, that's another video, but it might be pretty good for here, especially if this was engulfed in water and we couldn't get down there, or it would take X amount of months to pump that water out. Weeks, let's say. I don't think it would take months. Let's just say the worst happened and we couldn't ever get down there anymore. The the power would still be able to be used from this. This wouldn't run out necessarily just because it would flood. We would be able to get the water out. It would pump out. But let's say we couldn't, for, I don't know, something went wrong and it would take at least another 3 or 4 months, 6 months to get that rest of that remainder water out. We would be able to do it. But in the meantime, the power could still go and power houses, because obviously all the water would have left from ground level. This would allow you, this next bit, I will get on this one on another video, so it's still in the pipeline, but it allows you to take large amounts of power from the nuclear power station, let's say, that was under here, and it would allow you to get it to the surface without losing any because it's being earthed. Technically it wouldn't earth. It's hard to explain it, but the process is the principle I'm working with, but that's for another video, like I said. But it would allow you to then still use this without, even if it was still filled with water and we had some way to drain this out before we actually got to the area and were able to use the tracks once again on its original power out. So, you know, lots to think of in terms of backups, just in case the worst happened, flooding, different types of scenarios like that. It wouldn't be game over. We could still use this. This would still be operational and still be powering houses long, you know, even if there was water, we'd still be able to get the power in to keep the generation going, the generator running. The generator would run up here and that power would come down through here and power it into here. And the outlet power, let's say, that would be generated, maybe not at that time, who knows. We just need to keep the rod at a stable temperature so that it doesn't go critical, but at the same time I don't see why we wouldn't be able to take the power even if there was flooding happening in this backup. So yeah, this is just the main part of it, the main idea for now. This is just where I've got. So again, it would stop any type of kadoosh, any bombs being dropped on it or whatever, so it would be safe under there. Anybody that needed to get in here to do work, maybe there would be workers within this tube in different areas, so who knows, maybe you'd build a little facility in here as well that run the head stations of here, or maybe there would be over here the headquarters for it to keep an eye on everything. At the end of the day, people would have to, anyone that was trying to do bad with our good technology would have to enter through here. That would be one security breach. They'd have to get through all of these passages, or very least, I doubt they'd get through a pile shaft, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe they would, who knows? And obviously everywhere else around it would have a ton of sensors in the ground anyway, so if anyone tried to breach through, you would know about it from every single angle. You would know. So these are pretty much safe. They're out of the way. If anything ever went wrong, we could shut this down, just start filling it with concrete, cement, whatever, whichever way you want to say it, and we could start backlogging that in there, and I don't know, maybe it starts to melt its way through. So yeah, it would, who knows, maybe it would start to, if it ever went critical, I don't think it would, but if it did, who knows. And then we could build a waste facility here to get rid of your waste products. Could go in here somewhere, who knows. And it keeps them out of the way. So yeah, that's just the level of thinking I've done with this one. So I don't know 100%. As I say, it's still in the play around stage, but that's where I'm at. So a bit of a long-winded video on this one. So as I say, 3 videos for Friday this week, so it cut out a little bit on the last one, so I do apologise, but I've really got to get going. So 6 o'clock here now in the UK, so that's what I'm going to go and do. Got to go and get on, but yeah, this is where I'm at with this one, so that's how I'm going to close this video right now. Whatever you're doing on your Friday night, have a good one, and wherever you're from, whatever you're doing, be safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.